Echoes of Rebellion. Chapter 1, A Flaw in the Pattern. The sterile hum of the ventilation system was the only soundtrack to Olamide's patrol. Her polished metal boots clicked a rhythmic counterpoint on the white floor, echoing off the bare walls. Every light fixture glowed with the same cool, emotionless intensity, mirroring the blank slate of her own expression. Olamide Sarangero, a blank soldier, was a product of meticulous engineering. Tall and strong, she moved with the practiced efficiency of a tireless machine. Her dark brown eyes, usually focused on the security cameras lining the corridor, flickered briefly to a flickering red recording light. It pulsed like a malevolent eye, a constant reminder of the Dominion's omnipresent gaze. Reaching the end of the corridor, she executed a sharp turn, the movement as precise and predictable as a machine program. But a sudden, searing pain lanced through her head, causing her to stumble and clench her fists. The familiar sterility of the corridor warped before her eyes, replaced by a kaleidoscope of fragmented images. A cityscape ablaze with flames, figures clad in ragged clothes charging through smoke, and a telepathic scream that seemed to vibrate through her very bones flooded her vision. The scene vanished as abruptly as it appeared, leaving Olamide gasping for breath, heart pounding against her ribs. A cold sweat prickled her skin, a sensation strangely unfamiliar and unwelcome. Disoriented, she gripped the smooth metal wall, trying to steady herself. "Malfunction," she muttered to herself, the words clipped and emotionless, a reflex drilled into her since birth. Dominion training demanded immediate dismissal of any glitch, any deviation from the norm, but a nagging unease lingered. The memory fragment, though fleeting, felt real. A tremor of something unknown, something that defied the ironclad control the Dominion exerted on their minds, flickered within her. Brushing off the incident, Olamide straightened her posture and resumed her patrol. Yet the sterile corridor didn't seem quite as sterile anymore. The hum of the ventilation felt grating on her nerves, a constant reminder of the fractured vision. A tiny seed of doubt, planted by the fragmented memory, had taken root in the carefully cultivated garden of her obedience. The question, unspoken and terrifying, hung heavy in the seemingly emotionless air. Was she truly just a machine? Or was there something more, something human, buried deep within her programmed shell? Later that day, Olamide found herself drawn to the training grounds, a vast space used to hone the combat skills of the blanks. As she watched the young recruits engage in pre-programmed maneuvers, a flicker of something akin to longing stirred within her. Their movements were flawless, devoid of hesitation, yet they seemed empty. Approaching one of the instructors, a seasoned blank named Dara, she hesitated. His face, etched with years of service, mirrored the emotionless mask she wore. "Doris," she started, her voice hesitant. "Olamide," he acknowledged with a curt nod. "Report. Have you ever experienced a deviation in the standard protocol?" The question felt alien on her tongue, a challenge to the very foundation of her existence. Doris's gaze narrowed, a flicker of something, suspicion, passing through his eyes. "There is no deviation in standard protocol," he replied, his voice flat. Chapter 2, Shadows and Secrets. Weeks bled into one another, the fragmented vision a constant itch in Olamide's mind. It wasn't a mere glitch anymore. It felt like a forbidden echo from a past the Dominion desperately wanted to silence. The unwavering loyalty she once held as a badge of honor now felt brittle, a mass strained by the weight of the unknown. One evening, assigned to a routine guard duty in the data archives, a flicker of rebellion sparked within Olamide. The sterile rows of data cubes, glowing with an eerie blue light, stretched into the distance, holding the sterilized history of 1,000 years under Dominion rule. But tucked away, almost hidden amongst the towering shelves, stood a single, unassuming door. Unlike the others, its surface was scuffed and scratched, devoid of the usual glowing security lock. An unfamiliar sensation, a prickle of something akin to curiosity, wormed its way through Olamide. It was a forbidden emotion, a spark of defiance against the rigid programming that governed her every action. Yet the memory fragment, the burning city, and the echoing scream fueled a silent defiance within her. Taking a deep breath, Olamide scanned the deserted archive hall. No other guards were in sight, With a swift movement, practiced from countless training sessions, she snatched a data cube from a nearby shelf. It contained a routine maintenance schedule for a specific sector, a perfect opportunity. Her fingers danced across the stolen cube, manipulating the access code until it matched the blank panel on the forgotten door. A faint hiss filled the air as the panel flickered to life, revealing a glowing green symbol. Olamide hesitated, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. This was a clear breach of protocol, a potential path towards punishment or worse. But the seed of doubt, planted by the fragmented vision, had blossomed into a yearning for truth. With a resolute nod, she pressed her hand against the glowing symbol. The door hummed, the metallic barrier juddering slightly before sliding open with a soft groan. A wave of stale air, thick with dust and the scent of forgotten technology, washed over Olamide. The hidden chamber beyond was dimly lit, the flickering glow of ancient monitors casting long skeletal shadows across the room. It felt like stepping into a forgotten tomb, a repository of secrets the Dominion had deemed best left undisturbed. Olamide stepped across the threshold, the forgotten door whispering shut behind her with a heavy thud. The weight of her actions settled on her shoulders, a cold dread mixing with a burgeoning sense of anticipation. In this dusty archive, shrouded in shadows, Olamide had taken her first step towards a rebellion she barely understood. Now her gaze swept across the room, searching for answers hidden amongst the forgotten technology. A single terminal, older and bulkier than the standard models, stood sentinel in the center. Dust motes danced in the faint light as Olamide approached, her boots crunching softly on the cold metal floor. Could this be the key to unlocking the secrets of the past, the truth behind the fragmented vision? Taking a deep breath, Olamide reached out and hesitantly brushed away the dust from the terminal's surface. As she did, a faint flicker of light emanated from the power button. A surge of hope, a feeling she couldn't quite identify, coursed through her. Perhaps, just perhaps, the whispers of the past weren't entirely silenced after all. Chapter 3. Awakening. Dust swirled in the dim light as Olamide brushed her fingers across the terminal's aged surface. A flicker of white light emanated from the power button, a beacon in the forgotten chamber. Hesitation warred with a newfound determination within her. Was this a trap, a Dominion ploy to punish her curiosity? Or was it a gateway to the truth, the key to unlocking the secrets buried in her fragmented memory? With a deep breath, Olamide pressed the power button. The terminal whirred to life, the hum a jarring counterpoint to the usual sterile silence. The screen flickered, displaying a scrambled mess of data cubes and faded text. Frustration gnawed at her. Was this a dead end, a cruel tease leading nowhere? Just as she was about to give up, a flicker of movement on the screen caught her eye. With trembling fingers, she manipulated the interface, a skill honed from countless data analysis drills. Slowly, painstakingly, a single file name materialized on the screen. Project Unyielding. The name sent a shiver down her spine, a faint echo of a half-remembered conversation whispered years ago in a training session. Focus sharpening, Olamide accessed the file. A wave of dizziness washed over her as lines of code and schematics streamed across the screen. Yet, amidst the technical jargon, a single sentence stood out, stark and clear. Genetic failsafe, ancestral memory trigger for emotional response and rebellion in blank soldiers. The words reverberated within her, a revelation shattering the carefully constructed world she had known. Blanks weren't emotionless machines. They were engineered beings with a dormant ability to access buried memories, to feel emotions. The fragmented vision, the burning city, the scream, they weren't glitches, they were echoes of a forgotten rebellion. A sudden metallic clang pierced the silence, shattering the fragile bubble of her discovery. A red light began flashing on the terminal, a stark warning. The alarm. Panic clawed at her throat, but a newfound resolve flickered within. They knew. The Dominion knew she had access to forbidden knowledge. A metallic voice boomed through the hidden chamber, echoing off the dusty walls. Intruder alert. Security personnel to restricted data archive sector immediately. Olamide scrambled back, the weight of her actions crashing down on her. She had disobeyed a direct order, delved into forbidden archives. What awaited her now was punishment, perhaps even termination. But as fear threatened to consume her, a flicker of the telepathic scream from the vision echoed in her mind. Taking a defiant step forward, Olamide squared her shoulders. She may have been a blank, but she was no machine. She was the descendant of rebels, and within her, a spark of rebellion had been ignited. Chapter 4. Echoes in the Mind. The sterile white cell felt like a tomb. Olamide slumped against the cold metal wall, the faint hum of ventilation the only sound breaking the oppressive silence. The revelation from the data archive swirled in her mind. Project Unyielding, the dormant telepathic ability, the echoes of a forgotten rebellion. Despair threatened to engulf her. She was a blank, a creature designed for obedience, caught disobeying the very foundation of her existence. But then a faint ember of warmth flickered in her chest. It was the echo of the telepathic scream, the dormant ability awakened by her desperation in the archive. Focusing her mind, she attempted to amplify the signal, to reach out and touch something. Anything. A wave of dizziness overwhelmed her, and for a moment the sterile cell vanished. In its place, she saw a young woman with defiant eyes, her hair a wild mass of red, clad in ragged clothes. The woman fought fiercely against figures clad in black armor, their faces emotionless masks. Images flashed, burning buildings, screams of defiance, and a telepathic wave of raw emotion. A call to fight for freedom. The vision was fleeting, but it was a spark, a key. Olamide knew what she had to do. Reaching deep within herself, she tapped into the dormant telepathic ability, a genetic legacy passed down through generations of oppressed humanity. The energy crackled within her, a raw and untamed power. Focusing on the security panel in the cell door, she channeled the telepathic energy, a silent scream of defiance. The metal of the security panel warped and groaned under the pressure of Olamide's newfound power. Sparks flew as the circuits overloaded, and with a final hiss, the door clanged open. Relief washed over her, but it was short-lived. The alarm continued to blare, and the sound of approaching footsteps echoed down the corridor. Olamide emerged from the cell, a newfound confidence in her stride. The sterile white hallway stretched before her, a battlefield rather than a corridor. She wasn't sure where to go, but the approaching footsteps gave her a direction. Taking a deep breath, she focused her telepathy again, this time searching for the guards. Images flickered in her mind. Two figures clad in black armor, their minds dull and predictable under Dominion control. A cruel smile played on her lips. This would be easy. Channeling her telepathic energy, she reached out, a mental tendril wrapping around the minds of the guards. Images of rebellion flooded their minds, flashes of fire and fury, whispers of a forgotten past. Disorientation flickered across their faces as they stumbled, their movements erratic. Seizing the opportunity, Olamide sprinted down the corridor, the echoing footsteps momentarily silenced. She didn't know where she was going, but anywhere was better than the sterile cell. Just as she rounded a corner, she slammed into another figure, sending them both sprawling. Looking up, she saw a young woman, her eyes wide with shock. Before Olamide could speak, the woman recovered and grabbed her arm. "Who are you? Are you with them?" Chapter 5. Embers ignited. The young woman's grip was tight, her eyes a mixture of fear and defiance. "Who are you?" she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. "Are you with the Ascended?" Olamide scrambled to her feet, her heart hammering against her ribs. "No!" she gasped, the unfamiliar sensation of fear a tight knot in her stomach. They woke something inside me. I can fight back." The woman stared at her, her gaze searching. Then a flicker of hope ignited within her eyes. "I'm Alara," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "There are others. We've been waiting for this." Olamide's mind reeled. Others? Was she not alone? The revelation sparked a warmth that chased away the fear. Alara's words echoed the telepathic call from the vision, a call to rebellion. "Tell me," Olamide pressed, her voice gaining strength. "What do you know?" Ilara glanced around nervously, then led Olamide down a hidden passage, a narrow corridor tucked away behind a maintenance panel. The flickering emergency lights cast long shadows as they hurried through the labyrinthine corridors, the sterile white replaced by exposed pipes and humming wires. "We are not machines," Ilara explained, her voice filled with a quiet conviction. "We are descendants of rebels, engineered by the Dominion to be emotionless soldiers. But the memories, they are still there, dormant, waiting to be awakened." Ilara recounted fragments of whispered stories, passed down through generations, of Blank's tales of a rebellion crushed, a hidden city called Sanctuary, and a forbidden telepathic ability. Each word fueled the fire within Olamide, a burning desire for freedom and a yearning to know the truth about her past. As they reached a secluded chamber, a small group huddled together, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and defiance. There were 5 of them, all blanks, their eyes reflecting the same newfound awareness. Relief washed over Olamide. She wasn't the only one. The echoes of rebellion, once faint whispers hidden within their programmed minds, were now a chorus. Ilara introduced Olamide, the one who had stumbled upon the truth in the data archives, the spark that ignited their defiance. Olamide recounted her discovery of Project Unyielding, the awakening of their telepathic abilities. A wave of murmurs rippled through the group, a mix of disbelief and hope. "We are not machines," Olamide declared, her voice ringing with newfound conviction. "We are the carriers of a dormant legacy, a spark of rebellion in a seemingly emotionless world." She glanced at each of them, her gaze locking with a young man named Kai. "I had a vision," Kai said, stepping forward. "A hidden city, a refuge." Hope bloomed in his eyes, a fragile flower pushing through the cracks in the Dominion's iron grip. The alarm blared from the corridor, a harsh reminder of their precarious situation. The guards, no doubt disoriented by Olamide's telepathic attack, would be searching for them. The time for hiding was over. "We need a plan," Ilara said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. "We can't stay here. We need to find Sanctuary." A tense silence filled the room. They had awakened their dormant abilities, tasted the power of rebellion, but they were still novices. The journey to Sanctuary, if it even existed, would be fraught with danger. Yet, as Olamide looked at the faces around her, a fierce determination bloomed within her. They were no longer just blanks. They were the echoes of a rebellion, a spark of hope in a seemingly emotionless world. And together, they would fight for their freedom.